Good afternoon, everyone. My name is John Sheedy, and I'm the Emergency Management Coordinator for the City of Del Rio. I'd like to take a couple minutes and kind of discuss our process for registering our community for the COVID-19 vaccine. So the first thing we're going to talk about is where you're going to find the registration form for the vaccine, and that'll be made available on the City of Del Rio webpage. It'll, of course, be shared on other social media and the county website as well. But basically, we have this page here where we kind of talk about the vaccine. There's a lot of information, videos and such that kind of talks about COVID-19 and the vaccination. But the link will be posted in here, and then you'll click on that link, and then it's going to take you to the registration form. So this is what the form looks like. And the form may look kind of complicated at first, but it's really pretty simple. So there's some information about the form itself. We want to remind everyone that this form is intended for use only by individuals who meet Phase 1A and Phase 1B criteria. So if you can't meet any of these criteria that are in this form, please don't fill the form out. There will be another form released at a later date that you'll be able to take advantage of. We want to remind everyone to complete the form truthfully and accurately. Providing false information can be a violation of the law. So you'll come down here and you'll enter in your name. I've just plugged in a test name. So your first name and your last name. You'll plug in your birth date, and then it's going to calculate your current age. You're going to select your gender. You're going to plug in your address and your city, your state, and your zip code. Plug in your best contact phone number. We ask you to put in your email address, and then your place of employment and your position title. Now, these two are most important if you're applying for priority under Phase 1A. In other words, you work with the medical group involved in COVID management and things like that. We'll need to know your place of employment and your position title. The next is just a selection if your employer is enrolled as a COVID-19 vaccine provider. If you happen to know that your employer was enrolled, then please select yes. If you know they're not, select no. And if you're unsure, just select unknown. So then we get to our first tier, which is Phase 1A, Healthcare Workers Tier 1. So you can just kind of read through the criteria, the opening criteria. And then if that applies to you, then select the next box that is most applicable. You can select multiple boxes. You could select 2 boxes out of 1. You could select a box out of this one, a box out of this one, and a box out of this one if they all applied. But just remember, you can select all boxes, any and all boxes. So go through each one of these and see if anything applies and then select it. You'll notice that if you were to select any of these boxes, you're going to open up another drop down that's going to ask you to confirm that you do indeed qualify under Phase 1A Tier 1. So you would just click yes that you qualify. So if you hadn't qualified on anything there, you read down into the next tier, which is Phase 1A, Healthcare Workers Tier 2. It's very similar, but you're going to read the statement, see what applies, select any that do apply. And once you've selected anything that applies, again, you're going to get this drop-down box. You're just going to select that you do qualify. If you haven't qualified for anything yet, now we're down into Phase 1B, and these are the individual health risk factors. So there's 2 boxes in this one only. You could, of course, select one or both of these boxes. If you were just 65 years of age or older, you're going to select that. If you were 65 years of older plus you had an underlying medical condition, you're going to select both of them. If you were only less than 65, but you have an underlying medical condition, then you would select the second one. And when we talk about underlying medical condition, it gives some examples here of things that would cause your risk to the virus to be more severe, some conditions. There may be some condition that you have that's not listed. So if you believe that you have a condition that makes you more susceptible to severe illness, then you would select this underlying medical condition. So again, once you've made your selection here, you'll notice that you have to confirm that you do qualify under Phase 1B, and you'll select that. The next thing, if you've selected under any of the tiers and the phases that you qualify, it's going to ask you, it's going to provide the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine fact sheet. And so what you'll want to do is just kind of read through this, make yourself familiar with this. It's information on the vaccine and possible symptoms, who should take it, what to do if certain things occur. But you'll just read through this. And then at the end of this, there's a statement that's going to ask you to acknowledge that you have read the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine fact sheet. So you'll just check that you have reviewed it. The next thing is kind of important. If you've ever had a severe reaction from an immunization in the past, you need to consult with your physician prior to completing this process. So if you have had a severe reaction, just stop, don't fill anything else out, and contact your physician and ask his advice about taking the vaccine. Once you've done that and your physician, you've communicated with him and he says that you're good to go, just come back in and you can mention that you've contacted your physician. The next thing that you do is just consent that you don't mind sharing the information you provided with our vaccine providers and our database managers. So you'll click yes, and then it's going to ask you to just sign your name on a mouse. You can sign it on a computer. If you have an iPad or a smartphone, you can do it there with your finger. You'll submit the form and you're going to get a confirmation statement that's going to tell you a little bit more about, you'll be notified whenever it's your turn to report for the vaccine. Talks about make sure and bring in your photo ID, documentation of a medical condition. You could bring prescription pill bottles, and employment verification, especially if you've claimed phase 1A priority. So you'll receive a confirmation email once you've submitted this form. The email that you added should have received an email back from the form. It'll be this same form that you've completed, and that's your confirmation that you are in the database. So until then, we look forward to getting this out to everyone. We're working really hard to get it rolling out as smoothly as possible. And everyone's working together to try and get you guys the vaccine to everyone in our community as quickly as possible. And until we're able to make that happen for you, please just be safe and practice your good COVID-19 precautions to keep yourself safe. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate it.